Okay, we're back with the 6 p.m. turn, 1800, First Battle of Kernstown, Great Battles of the American Civil War. So we started out here with the Union winning the initiative and bringing out an artillery chit first. They wanted to retreat the artillery back from the Pritchard's Hill because Burke's had attacked and got very close to it and actually overran these batteries here that you can see are at abandoned 2 at the moment. And now what's happened is they've moved back, but Jackson got a chip coming out and was able to attack and push back the retreated artillery as well as the supporting infantry that was there and really drive them back, as you can see shown by the arrows here. The Union retreated this way, Confederates attacked this way, and supporting units had come up. One Union unit here, which we'll focus in on in a second, was the lone standing unit with everything. So let's take a closer look and see what actually went on here with the attack. So I've unpacked this a little bit just to show you the units and give you a little bit of a sense of what happened during the attack. So first off, the 21st, 42nd, and 1st Virginia Battalion all teamed up under Burke's brigade and attacked a line of the artillery line back here that retreated, as well as this infantry unit here, the 13th Indiana, which had moved up to support them. Now, that attack was pretty lucky for the Confederates and pretty devastating for the Union, because they were able to overrun the artillery, the 4th U.S. artillery here, and able to push back the 13th Indiana, disordering them and pushing them back down the hill. They were able to subsequently have a continuous shock attack, which allowed them to push them even further down the hill to the point that they're at now and keeping them disordered. Now, in that attack, the 11th Indiana went low ammo as well, which is going to be pretty devastating to them in terms of stopping them. The 42nd and the 42nd and the what's the other one here? The 1st Virginia Battalion, they were able to continue the attack and move forward, basically with no real shock attack because the Indianans retreated before shock, and that allowed the 42nd and the 1st Battalion to move up there as well. So they do go disordered, of course, because they did have a successful shock attack as a result of that. The 21st Virginia was already disordered as part of that attack. They stayed back with the guns, and then Jackson has moved up and is looking to potentially get them in good order again. Burks is with his units up front. He'll probably try to reorganize them here as well. Tyler got swept up into this. Now, of course, he is out of command. That's the out of command chit that you have. And the same thing with Dayum. He was swept up with the retreat and stayed with the 13th Indiana as part of the retreat. So they're kind of holding out over there. They will try to rally them as part of their activation when that comes up later in this turn. Now up front here, we did have the 5th Ohio, which kind of weathered the storm, but just kind of sitting there. What happened is Burks went around them, didn't attack them, but they refused their flanks. Unfortunately, that caused disorder for both the artillery and the infantry, and they've been disordered because of that. Following up with Burks was Garnett, who moved up over here, and he was able to actually shoot and rout a unit of Carroll's troops, which was the 8th Ohio, after Carroll was wounded. So the whole regiment just disappeared right in this center area right there. Garnett was able to move up over here, as well as the 2nd Virginia and both of these units, which is the 4th Virginia and the oh, where is it? There it is. And the 2nd Virginia B unit to potentially attack over there. They didn't shock attack because they refused the flank, and Garnett wasn't up there either, so we didn't like the odds for that. So they just left them there for now. They'll probably attack on the next Jackson activation and see what they can do. But they're kind of stuck out here as a rock in between the waves of Confederates coming forward over there. The other one was Fulkerson is right here. He has moved up his units, but he's actually jumped over here because in a little bit of an artillery duel before the battle, before Jackson struck, the Danville artillery, Hampton artillery took the worst of it from these artillery units up here, and it's going to need to recover. And then we've also moved up the Rockbridge artillery just out of frame there as well to try to support. So it's going to be kind of an interesting fight here. The Union has taken a big hit. Tyler's reinforcements are coming up here. He's out of command, so they're going to have to get in command with a brigade change order, which is a little tough. Tyler is not that great with that, so we'll see how that goes. But they're going to need to do that to try to reclaim those guns and earn back some victory points that the Confederates have taken over here for now. So stay tuned. We'll be up with the next set of chits with any interesting highlights, and we'll go from there. Okay, here we are with the last half of the 6 p.m. turn. So this became quite the wild turn here at the end. We saw in the first video how Jackson had attacked up Pritchard's Hill, overran the artillery, and basically captured all the batteries. Second half of the turn, of course, Shields came on and got his activations going, or I should say Sullivan got his activations going here. And the biggest thing was right in here, Tyler. He actually was able to change his orders to attack, even though he was out of range of Sullivan over here, and really push in over here. And let me zoom in on this so that you can really see the detail of what happened. Okay, so here we are looking at the top of Pritchard's Hill. Jackson had pushed a line out around to where this collapsed unit, this attack marker is over here, and really had pushed in there. But Tyler got his units up for this first activation and then was able to change to an attack order in the second activation. And that allowed the 29th Ohio, which had a 10 strength point, roughly 500 men, as well as the 7th Ohio, roughly 400 men, to attack the hill. The 29th Ohio came over the top of the hill, pushed back Burke's units. 5th Ohio came up the hill and around the side and pushed them back over there as well. That provided impetus for Diam right here to get the 13th Indiana going, which was back here. And despite being out of ammo, they charged one of Burke's units that was sitting on top of the battery right here, pushed them out back to here, back to here. It was Fulkerson. Sorry, Fulkerson. Fulkerson's unit was up here, pushed them back over here, and then went after Burke's unit right here and pushed them back over there without getting any casualties other than the disordered at the end. So they pushed them back. Fulkerson lost the strength point. Burke's was just pushed back, and then Jackson pulled back the unit that was covering over there. So they have been able to recapture guns here Let me move these off so you can see them right there. All right, you can see that. And then these guys over here have been recaptured and recrewed as well. Although they're in the midst of the, in the thick of the battle here. So they may be counterattacked in the next turn. So we've got one more turn to go. We're into the dusk turn, 1900, 7 p.m. So we'll see how that plays out when it comes around here. But this has been the main focus over here in the attacking, to try to take the guns back. A little bit over here with Sullivan's units pulling back just off camera, and then attacking over here with Garnett. If I slide it over, you can see they pulled back, and then Garnett's units pushed forward as well next to Kernstown proper. And then the only other thing that happened too over here, which really was kind of key to this as well, is the cavalry. And let me zoom in on that a little bit so you can see what happened over here. So here you can see the cavalry, and all of the Union cavalry, although they were independent regiments, was eventually able to change their orders over the course of a couple turns to attack orders. And they somewhat teamed up to drive Ashby's units back. They actually had them cornered, but Ashby was able to get them back out of there with minimal losses. But that was key, because that opened up this western side of Pritchard's Hill so that Taylor's units over here could move down. Now, Taylor did send some units over here, and eventually will try to stabilize the line or even try to flank the line over here. But I'm not sure if they're going to have enough time with daylight falling very rapidly in the game. But that was a key piece there, because without Ashby threatening the other side of Pritchard's Hill, now Tyler was able to counterattack against Jackson's attack up Pritchard's Hill over there. So let's zoom you back out now and look at the whole picture. This is what it looks like at the end of the 6 p.m. turn. We're moving on to the 7 p.m. turn. It is a dusk turn, so it's going to be a little bit trickier for units to move and fight a bit on here, but there should still be some action. Now, you may be asking, what is the victory point at this particular junction? Well, Confederates still have a lot of victory points, because they did actually ultimately destroy a battery. This guy right here. Oh, maybe he's going to zoom in. There we go. So that's going to count for 4 points. So that actually gets them up to 13 victory points. Now, the U.S. only used 2 activations this turn, so they will pick up another victory point. So that brings them up to 11. So the Confederates are now leading by 2 points. It's 13 to 11. Now, just looking at the next turn, if the Union, again, only uses an activation or 2, they'll get 1 point or 2 points, which would get it up to at least a tie. But I think they're going to have to do something, because these batteries are still in threat of being lost, and if they're lost, that's going to be another roughly 5 points over there as well. Now, we do have some BCE units. Carroll's unit is now BCE, which I should put a BCE marker on here. So that there's nothing we can do about, and that's going to earn the Confederates another 5 points. That's going to bring them up to 18 points, potentially at the end. And the Union is at 11, so they need to figure out somehow to get 7 more points. It's going to be a little bit tough, but we will play it out. I think the Confederates may have a victory with this, but the other thing to factor in with this, in terms of looking at the final victory conditions for them, is that I think there needs to be a margin, but I'm not seeing it. Let's see here. Oh, here it is, yes. So there has to be over a 5-point margin. So like I said, it's 18 to 11, so that's 7 points. So the Confederates hold potentially a marginal victory at this point. The Union could be fighting for a draw if they can reduce reduce the victory margin to 5 points or less within there as well. So we'll see what happens. So there's still a few things that need to be played out here. So we'll go through the last turn and see how it goes. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next one, and we'll go